I was just realizing. Okay, go. Yeah, please.
All right. Yeah, let me
There,
go
Angie.
ahead and
Yeah,
approve that.
yeah. So we're recording now. So what we'll do is we'll plan to make this public unless at some point we feel like something was shared that shouldn't be, and then we'll stop the tape right then and start again so we can cut that out. Does that sound good?
Yeah,
So if we don't do that, we'll just make it all public. Sound good?
that's fine with me.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. So yay, I'm excited to connect. I was just telling you how much I appreciated your snowflake on snowflake ensemble there. It's really good getting the whole wintry experience. You were mentioning you're in North Carolina now instead of South Florida, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Visiting another leadership council member, Rico, which is great.
Yes.
By the way, do you mind flipping the camera sideways so we've got the full width view? Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. All right.
Perfect. Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We're doing it.
We are doing it. So yeah, so great to connect. I went through our video again today, or viewed it from last meeting to really, remember where we're at with everything. And, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge, the vision in your head and how clear and how clearly you laid it out in so much detail last time, which is really great. So I really appreciate the clarity of the vision that you're holding and our ability to be able to now share it with people.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. I'm like living and breathing this vision like every moment of my existence. And it's what we need. And we are ready for it as a society to have beautiful spaces that we can live, that are that are affordable, that are nourishing and healing, and at the same time that are regenerative for the planet, and where energy can be free and people don't have to be slaves. Like that's it. We're done with that. We don't need that anymore. It's outdated. It's old school. We're moving into the age of Aquarius. We're moving into the golden age. We need to change the paradigm. We need new type of places where all of the environment can be conducive to our healing and our growth and our creativity, and where we can be free to be creators and to devote ourselves to our arts and to our crafts and to our geniuses, right? So that is my vision, to be part of creating these spaces. And ever since we've been talking, I feel like there's been manifestations that are like coming and just coming. I've been here in North Carolina, and I caught up with some old friends of mine from last time I was here 3 years ago. As you may know or not know, after I got a divorce, I went on a Rainbow Earth journey in the Rainbow Gypsy van with my partner Benja, my nomadic partner Benja in Florida. And we went off, we traveled the states, and one of the places where we came after a rainbow gathering in 2018 was to North Carolina. And I met this beautiful people that are my friends, and they have land here in North Carolina. And I just caught up with them over some tea yesterday, and they showed me some of the new property they've been purchasing in this beautiful Cedar Island, and in North Carolina, in the pristine waters here where the wild horses run freely, where it's a town that is ready for young energy to come in with innovation. Right now, it's a very quiet town, but it's a very crystalline and pure town. But they want to bring in not commercial development, because that is a potential for commercial development to want to come and take it over and make it into like a condo-y, hotel-y type of place, because the views are so spectacular in the water and everything. So my friend is like, literally, he's just buying out as much land as he can there to protect it from being purchased by these developers. And what he wants to do is he wants to do wildlife restoration. He wants to do eco villages. He wants to do things like what we're talking about with Abundancia and with Ascendia and with all of the projects that I've been sharing my vision with you and with all of our audience with, creating a really regenerative villages. And so when I caught up with them yesterday, it was just like so miraculous that, now they're like ready to see how we can collaborate and how we can really weave our network from the West Coast that I'm working with and from the East Coast, right? And just really all the miracles are happening. So
That's so
it's
awesome.
all in alignment. Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect.
Alignment.
It's so great how all of that's happening and you're in the flow of the universe is supporting, signaling all the support, all of that. That's a joyous place to be.
It is. It really is. It's wonderful. And it's also a lot of dedication, and devotion and showing up. I mean, you more than anybody knows how much effort it is to like get down everything on paper and get all your thoughts and all the specifics down, because it's so easy to dream and to like envision. And that's like my favorite part that comes easy to me. So I really appreciate these calls with you, because it's like that yang, like, okay, now we got to ground it in, and that's why I've been working with Rico. He helps me to do that. You help me to do that. So I'm just very fortunate right now to be surrounded by brothers that really like help me to bring down my vision and just like really get it down for specifics. And one of the other things we've been up to here while I've been here is I opened up the Tantric Conservatory, and it's going to be a church. I'm going to file it as a 508c1a, where we're going to have a church status and where we can have a temple where we can practice our tantric arts as an ancient healing modality for the modern world, because we need that now more than ever. And just being very, very encroached and completely disconnected from reality, the true reality of our beings, which is our embodiment, the divinity that comes through our embodiment, and our connection to Gaia herself. That and within itself is a planetary tantra. So we want to be teaching people about really connecting their nervous system to the whole planet through their breath, through their body, through sacred embodiment and sensuality, and, as you know, permaculture and regenerative design. So this is exciting, and I'm just looking forward to continuing to create with you.
Awesome. Awesome. That's so great. Thank you for sharing all of that and kind of giving us all of the context of, where all of this is coming from and, what you're feeling and what you're experiencing and, how it's all coming out in these various different forms right now and how you're grounding it all into these specific things that you just shared, which is amazing. So awesome. And that's where, today I do want to, pick up where we left off with looking at everything that we got down and really talk about, who do you need to attract? What stakeholders do you need to bring in? What analysts do you need to bring in? What vision holders do you need to bring in? So that's where we're going to be going today, is to really look at what it takes to manifest what you're looking for, and also to really focus on the financial part, because I really want to understand what you're offering to all the different stakeholders and all the, not just finances, but what all the incentives are for participation of all the different, entities, and where the financial flow is to be able to support it all, from an early stage through development and that sort of thing. So those are kind of the things that are on my mind from where we left off last time. Does that sound good to dive into those kinds of details today?
Sure. Yeah.
Cool. Let me show you what I've got. Are there any other parts that are on the top of your mind as I was just saying that, and things that you're thinking about that you'd like to cover today?
I'm thinking, well, I did get a call the other day from a client, actually, that really sees the value of these practices and of this work. And he's like, I'm thinking of buying land in Florida. And I'm like, well, that's great. We could set up a space there, right? So that's even coming into a conversation, right? To be looked at. So I feel like that's part of this manifestation that we're doing.
Yes,
So I
sounds like
feel
it.
like that would be really good, even to start out with something like that, right? Even if
Yeah.
it's small, even if it's like a yurt, out on some nice land where we can start having some community activities and education that could be
That's the
very
thing, and that's what I wanted to see is what's the kind of the simplest level to start implementing the vision, in a community oriented way with the financial flow set up so that it's sustainable, right? It's sustainable financially by all the different participants, because I think, that's where, and again, you can have all kinds of different types of financial models. But from my perspective at the moment, I think Uniting for Action is always going to be advocating for a continually sustainable financial model that, even if you have a plan of getting some investment at some point or something like that, you're working the plan to get to that point, right? It's that you're working the plan at all the different levels to be able to have everyone satisfied in their place and not getting like overextended with energy, right? Like people could be putting energy in, like you're saying, like showing up, like the currency that's involved in somebody showing up and showing up and showing up and showing up. It's a currency that's worth a lot, and you can replace a lot of revenue and all of that when you're doing that, when you're creating value for people, just like connecting people or whatever. And that's where we're building those sorts of things into the system so that you can actually, get that into, finances that you can put somewhere else and that sort of thing. But the thing that, I've been observing as I've been in this kind of analysis of all that we're doing is that as you're relying on that like extension, that overextension, then you have an unstable system, basically, right? The stable system, as you know from permaculture, the stable system is where all of the component parts are in harmony in their place, right? They're in balance.
Yeah.
They're in balance. They're not overextended. If you have a bunch of things overextended, then you have a very unstable system, right? So you want to design the system for stability, right? And so people, the whole system can't be riding on Angie putting all her energy into it. You get what I mean? There has to be a sustainable model behind the scenes that for most people has to involve some kind of finances in this world of, especially if it has to do with something that they make money doing, right? Their business and what they're doing for their business, right? So it's like, so again, that's where I want to tune into those things today from the way I was seeing it, because what I was imagining is, let me go into what I was sharing. So here's what I did to go through the whole video from last time and timestamp it. So I can share this document with you so you can have all the timestamps too and look at it, and we can correspond and pull out certain spots. Like I'm going to show you a certain, clip from, that we did last week that was a good encapsulation. But let me go to this for the moment, which is, where we left off last week. And we're just going to kind of go through, what we got down last week, but talk about, like what are the priorities, and especially, in particular, where are there, financial aspects to come into play, from the beginning that are in alignment. Like what was coming to me, based on, all the different aspects of the sacred temple and all the things coming together, including the, conscious co-working and all the different things around it, is that I was imagining, like potentially, virtual aspects of this, or like you're saying, like pop-up, aspects of some of these things, but they're being done the consciousness that it's a building block to when we get our own physical space, like you're talking about. You get what I'm saying?
I like that. Yes, exactly. Because right.
By the way, are you able to come back on video so we can see you? You're on mute, by the way, Angie, if you didn't know that, because I'm not hearing you. Nope.
Okay, sorry about that. Something got pressed on my thing, and it was like I couldn't even talk.
No worries.
But I heard everything you said. So,
yeah, that's great.
yes.
And that's an example, like I'm saying, of the vision is the sacred temple on this land that we're going to have and all of that. And, the early steps to that are us creating, the sacred temple and the connections in the community. And here's an actual birthing center that we found that can be the birthing center for now. And here's, this part that can hold these spaces for us. And you know what I mean? And also even just completely virtual for some of the things, right? But basically, again, you're setting the vision and you're getting people on board. Like, we're working towards this. We're all buying in towards this. And this is the journey we're on along the way to get to that. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, exactly. I like that. It's like progressive steps in that.
Yeah, and you're getting buy-in from the beginning. That's the thing. You're finding the stakeholders that are going to be up for this 2-year, 3-year journey to get land and build a thing and have a temple. I don't know what the actual time frame is, but it's an investment of time and commitment, right? So, again, to have stakeholders up front that are buying into the long-term vision and participating in what you're creating along the way. And that's where you'll create all this value from the beginning, just in the interconnecting, right? We talked about it last time, because you're being the connector, because that's one of your great gifts, and that's what you do with the vision, is you see all these different people and entities and they come up in your experience. And now by just connecting them together into these networks where they're benefiting each other, and you're making connections and you're earning 10% commission on connecting these people and these people and these, and everyone's doing that and they're doing that. And that's where again, it makes it almost easy, right? It's just like we just have to communicate it all really effectively so that we're inspiring those that we want to participate with enough that and incentivizing it enough that they choose in, right?
Yeah, I really like that vision that you have about having a networking system that is monetized, or that it's contribution based, where we can be earning contributions for our connections. Because I do this all the time. It's kind of like just a natural thing that I do. It's a trait that I have, and it would be nice, right, to be able to have that being part of the abundance.
It's totally appropriate, and that's the thing. It's just it should be that way, and it's just that you're not going to ask people for that, and they're not going to necessarily offer that. But when it's expected, when it's no, that's the way we do things because we support each other.
It's part of a system.
Exactly. It's part of the system. And that's where, you just invite the people. You're like, hey, I want to invite you to this system because I want to introduce you to this other person. And by doing it through the system, we have all of these agreements and everybody gets to, connect each other. And you get what I'm saying? It's like a great way to introduce people to the system, is I want to connect you with somebody, right? There's somebody in the network that I think could maybe use your services. I want to introduce you to Uniting for Action so you can, you know what I'm saying? Because we've been focusing on the leadership council, but now we're starting to have to shift into the other aspect, which is basically just like a business member, right? It's like one of these stakeholders that's going to show up to play a role in these different visions, right? We have to have all these video editors and contractors and, whoever all these stakeholders are. And those are the businesses, basically, right, that are coming in to serve all of the needs of all of the visions and all of that sort of thing. So that's where, I appreciate that you're in the same mindset with that. And we really want to get to where that's happening as quickly as we can. It's really not going to take much because, right now, it's so individualistic. We're just connecting individuals, like when you got connected with Paloma last week, and maybe Paloma can help you with the Feng Shui of the landform.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I want to get her contact from you, and then have that already be systemized as what you're talking about, having the contributions, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Is there going to be like a tracking system?
Yes, all of that for sure. And that's where, it'll be, there's so many details we could go into that, but I'm glad you get it. And that's where, again, this system, and I don't lead with this because people have all kinds of different feelings, but, we've talked about there's going to be credit. And I guess I do need to start communicating this pretty soon so people understand from the beginning, but everybody that gets signed up into the system is signed up under whoever referred them, right? Whoever invited them, whoever brought them in initially. So the person that refers those people into the system is automatically going to get 10% of whatever they're putting into the system, right? Whether it's $25 a month or $100 a month or whatever. But in the future, it'll be more like hundreds of dollars a month or thousands of dollars a month as people are doing all of this business within the system. So people that signed them up could be earning huge amounts of money from, just signing people up. And then the other part, and this is where, it gets a little bit sketchy because of multi-level marketing, laws and that sort of thing. So we have to be really careful. But I would like to give commissions or incentives on the second generation as well. So it's not only, the people that you're signing up, but then you're earning some percentage of the business that they're doing with other people within because that's where it can really get significant, right? Like if you tap into if you sign up a friend that has a whole network and then that whole network goes wild, that you're earning a ton of money over that whole network going wild, right?
Yeah, I've already done that, but we haven't had this system for automating, right? So it's even nice. Like I like this idea to even bring it in, to ascend it, right? To our Neurons Now networks.
Yeah.
How can let's bring this system in so that everybody can be compensated for all of their efforts.
Totally. And that's what you're getting at. One of the other things I wanted to talk about, which is I think it's time for us to have meetings with all your different partners because, whether they come in as separate leadership council members, but it seems like for most of your partners would be appropriate if they're interested. It seems like they're operating on that kind of level. But even if they're not, for them to be understanding and using the system, even just as a power user, connecting and doing all the referring. Excuse me a second.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So, but do you get what I'm saying with that? So even you mentioned Kelly and the
and Joe, which I've been talking to them about you, and I've been sending them our videos and things, and I shared with them our document, and I started telling them that I'm kind of using the program, the project we're working on as an example of what I want to create. And also, and that I also want to create something in South Florida because that's where our community is as well. And it doesn't have to be as big as what we're envisioning in Costa Rica, but even if it's a small space to start out would be wonderful.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And this is where what you were just talking about in terms of connecting people and those connections happening is that, as you start to bring in, these very significantly connected people that start to come into Uniting for Action, again, whether they're coming in as a leadership council member or just a user of the system, that you're the one that's bringing in this whole network, right? And that's where, again, we're still figuring out how to create all the revenue flows, but that's where you get to be a part of figuring it out, right? And helping create the system as a user for everybody, right? And that's what we're doing is we're figuring out ways that we can connect all the dots between all of this flow happening so that everybody can be, having some appropriate part of it incentivized, right? Everybody can be appropriately incentivized to keep connecting people and creating value because, they're getting a little bit here, they're getting a little bit here, and then there's a big hit over there, and there's a big hit, and everybody has these, times that the fireworks go off between some connections that they make, and then it creates something, right? And
Yeah,
so I think it's, I really
I
appreciate,
love that.
I think that you're going to be on the leading edge of really showing people how this can work, because I think you're going to be bringing in different people from your different networks and our different networks and all that are going to be creating these connections like right away. And so I think you're going to
Yeah.
be a really great model of, I connected these people and this happened, I connected these things, you know what I mean? So that's really awesome. And you are such a great connector that you are just, like the model of being able to bring in people from all these different, places.
Yeah.
That's another thing, is that I really appreciate that, we're really focusing on that when we're doing Expand the Love. So I really know the idea of you reach into this community and you reach into this community, and even the gathering of the tribes, right? At the last beach event that I did was to have all of these different leaders bring in all of their different tribes, right? So
Right.
I appreciate, that that's just naturally the way that you are, and that, we'll do all of this. That's awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate the way you are and all this wonderful groundbreaking work you're leading us into.
Thank you so much. That's so awesome. Cool. So let's dive in and let's talk. What we'll do is basically we'll read through the whole thing, everything we wrote down last time, just to remind us of all of the different pieces. And then we'll come back to the parts that you want to focus on early. And again, in particular, for all of these, different aspects, I want you to be, thinking today of, what is the offer. There's two different offers, just to remind you. So there's the offer to the stakeholder or whoever would fulfill the role that you're looking for, whether it's another permaculturist or whether it's somebody that's going to present, a workshop or whatever it is. Those are the different, stakeholders that show up to execute your plan with you. Okay. So there's always so what is the incentive or the offer to that stakeholder? What do I offer to them that they're going to participate the way I want them to participate, right? So that's the first thing, is the offer to the stakeholders themselves. But then again, we also have the vision holders. So the vision holders are friends of yours that might know some different stakeholders, or other people, other people in the leadership council that are enrolled in your vision. Hey, I want to support you. Let me connect you with this person. So it's the ones that do the connecting and help you find the stakeholders. Those are the vision holders, basically, right? The vision holders are the ones helping you achieve your vision in some way. So you got the analysts, which are helping you really identify, okay, so if you want to build this on this land, this is how much it's going to cost. If you want to do this, so it's all those analysts that give you the actual, dollars, time frame, all the reality that you need for whatever plans you're envisioning in your head, so you can get it down to actual, costs and time frames to be sharing it with people. So the analysts are doing that. You're looking for analysts in certain areas. Then you've got the vision holders that are helping you, find and bring in the stakeholders, and the stakeholders are the ones that you're executing the whole project with to get it done. Make sense?
Okay, yeah, okay, perfect. So I'm just gonna review this. The analysts are the reality, the costs and time frames. The vision holder is somebody who's helping me find and bring in the stakeholders, and then the stakeholders are basically the people that are, can you say that again?
Yeah, the stakeholders are the ones that are actually helping you execute the plan, to achieve the vision. So,
Okay.
So if you're going to have classes, who are the ones that are doing the classes? Where is, who's providing the venue? Who's providing the audio visual? All the different pieces that you need to actually execute on the vision, right? So those are the stakeholders, are the ones that are the ones you need,
they're invested in one way or another.
Yeah, in a typical business environment, it would most of them would be paid vendors, essentially, right?
Right.
Or like you're saying, could just have some investment, co-creator in some way or what have you. But yes, they're the ones that are showing up to play a role, whatever that role is. They're playing a role that has to be played in order to execute the plan that you have to carry out your vision.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's, basically anybody needs to be accounted for in that plan. Yeah. And then the vision holders are the ones, again, that are helping you bring those in. So essentially it's to remind you, and we'll go back, I'll show it to you where it is in our shared document here. Let me put the link in the chat again. Oh, are you?
Hi, Rico. I'm on the phone with Jared.
Oh, hey, Jared.
Hey, how are you, brother? Great to see you.
Yay.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah.
All right, let me put it in the chat there.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So, so with the document, when we go up here, you've got the planning phase where you're saying what you want, you're beginning to formulate the plan, you're soliciting feedback and input on the plan from the analysts, right? So you're beginning to formulate, say what you want, you declare your vision like we did last time, you begin to formulate the plan like we started to do, and then now you're soliciting feedback and input on the plan. So today I'm being one of your analysts and saying, well, what about, the financial side? What about these sides, and how do you accounting for that? And maybe you'll run it by Rico, and you'll run it by Kellen, you'll run it by different people. So you'll find the different analysts that are giving you feedback on the plan. And then once you're, solid with the plan, you say, okay, we can start executing this plan. It's good enough. Then, we're going to move into the recruitment phase, and you're willing again to champion the plan. That's the biggest thing. And I know we talked about last time, but just to remind you, is that really the idea of the planning phase is to test out the plan, enough to make sure that, you're committed to executing the plan, at this point, right? Either you, or if you're going to hand it off to somebody else, that that you're handing it off to them, or you're just deciding this is a great plan, but now that I see how much time it's going to take, I'm going to have to wait until next year to do this or whatever. So it just it allows you to keep refining the plan till you can embrace it and say, I'm ready to execute this plan now, or for you to make a decision that you're not going to execute it and you're just going to put it off or give it to somebody else or put it on the side for the moment. Does that make sense? Okay, so basically with the let me go back to sharing. So once you embrace it, you say, okay, the plan is where it needs to be for us to go forward, then you're going into the recruiting phase. And that's where you're starting to share the plan with the vision holders. And you're saying, hey, I'm looking for these people. Do you know any of these people? And then you're managing the vision holders, sharing the plan with prospective stakeholders. So essentially, again, you're creating these video clips and these other things for friends or others to share, with prospective stakeholders. And then you're managing the enrollment process of the stakeholders. So you're managing, essentially coming up with agreements with them and signed agreements, and then, going forward with them as stakeholders. Make sense?
Yes. So basically what you're saying is that what we've been doing is declaring the vision. Now what I'm doing is I'm going to share this with my analysts, which are my existing business partners and alliances. So I'm going to be sharing this plan with them to solicit feedback. And as I gather feedback, I'm also going to be creating even more clips that I can share with prospective stakeholders from our shared network. And then I'm going to be coming up with agreements for those stakeholders who expand the network.
Yeah, that's
who are coming in. Okay.
Yeah, who are coming into your project. Exactly. Yeah, that was a really good way of encapsulating it all. Yeah, I think that's really great the way that you said it all. Those are your steps right now. And the thing, yeah, as you, here's an awareness that I had in the last few days is that there's some some jobs that we haven't really defined in society so much that we're kind of leading with right now in Uniting for Action, in particular around video processing. So right now, like the video that we have from last time that I show you that I processed some, and then the video that you can have in here, and the video, really, obviously, if you can, you want to record your video with all of your different partners, all of the different meetings that you have, because every time you guys talk about anything, then the things that are important to them are important to other people too. And the way that you get to share it with the other people is by pulling out that video clip and then putting it on a web page somewhere or something like that, or a playlist or something like that, right? And so what we're starting to do in Uniting for Action is we're starting to develop that expertise in that marketplace. I'm going to start to, hire students and have students, become interns and being really good at this analyst process. Like what I'm doing with you, we're going to train people to be analysts. So we have a whole, army of analysts, and then also of the video processors, because basically, we cover all of these different topics, and in a meeting with, these different people, you'll cover all of these different topics, but then, what do you do with that video? You basically want to hand it off to somebody that's going to process that video and process it in a way with all the tags that are specific to you. This one's Abundancia, this one's the Sacred Temple, this one's this. And so they're using your tags and processing your video. And then you're going to be able to search through all of your last weeks of video and find all the specific clips from all the different discussions about, the Sacred Temple. And then from that, you're going to be able to pull content out or mark content or whatever, or you're going to have editors that are going to do their own editing from the content. It's all going to be very much an automated type of process, again, to be able to facilitate this. The idea is that your time is so valuable and your conversations with these important people are so valuable that you want to capture all of that value, and then you want to turn that value into essentially communications to all the other entities that are similar to the ones that you've been talking to, right? You talk to one prospect, all of that gets on video. Now you can send that to all of the other prospects, right? And you talk to 2 or 3 and you get some more details here and some other details there. So this is like, again, the automation that we're bringing to this whole process to allow, people like you to be out there, creating reality just by having conversations with people, right? You and Kelly start to talk about all these like specific details of what it's going to be like and how this is going to be and how this is going to be. And because it's on video and because you're getting it chopped up and organized in all the proper places, then you don't have to send an 1.5-hour video to a person that could, get certain parts out of it. They just get the edited 3 minutes that's applicable to them. Right?
That are relevant. Oh yeah, that's really good, because it's like if I share this video with Kelly and Joe, it's like really hard for them to go through an hour, right? So
Exactly.
we just have the specific pieces that are relevant for the project we're working on.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
And that's exactly what we have. Let me show you, an example again from what we did last time, but just to show you one piece that I selected where you got right into the specifics, right? Space and different activities. So anything else?
Well, definitely, like if I think about I'm thinking about the Sacred Temple complex that I want to create.
Yeah.
Basically, it's the Sacred Temple complex. It's a combination of having basically a couples education center for conscious relationships. I am a relationship in a Tantra art club.
It goes on for a couple more minutes. So you get the idea.
Yeah.
Like that's a 3-minute clip right there.
Right.
That is like the whole Sacred Temple, like in a nutshell.
Right.
And now that clip is what you can share with people that are interested in potentially being
in that particular project.
That part.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And so this is where, again, what we're doing, we're working on systematizing the planning phase. We're working on systematizing the recruitment phase for you to do it. We're also working as much as we can to systematize the whole, execution phase, right? And some of the stakeholders that you didn't know you needed were people to process your video, to pull all of these pieces out so that you can have much more content to share with much more people about much more things. And again, this is the way that we start to manage all of these projects in reality, because each project has its own home with its own stakeholders and its all needs, and it's all very organized, and you get to
We're
share
managing all of our communications. Right.
all of our communications, all of our networking, all of our building, all of our manifesting, right? We have a system now to see our manifestations and work on it together. So that's where we're going with all of this. And that I'm, glad that
I love it.
I'm glad. Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm glad that you see it. And this is, what I want you to keep, imagining as we're going through all of this. So you mentioned everything you said was correct about what you're doing in the planning phase, and then into the recruiting phase. And then the last, is the management phase, where it just, again, you're managing the stakeholders onboarding and activation process. So all the stakeholders are coming in.
What step is this? Is this step number 4?
No, this is the management phase. This is step 7. So this is after recruitment.
Oh, okay.
So this is the end. So after planning, 3 steps, recruiting, 3 steps, then it's the management phase. And so that's where, step 7, well, the objectives of the management phase: project manage the execution of the vision, including all stakeholders, vision holders, and analysts. Share the results with the world to enroll even more support to increase efforts and results. Make sense?
Okay. So let me just see where I left off here. So basically, I left off here in the recruiting phase.
Yeah, exactly. And so, the recruiting phase is once you've recruited all of the stakeholders, and we won't go into a lot of detail now because it's, but once you've recruited all of the stakeholders, then it's time to actually execute the project, right? Then it's time to do all the work that all the plans call for, right?
Okay.
And that's the management phase, because essentially at that point, you're basically just in project management mode, right? You've got all the different pieces, everybody knows their roles, we've got all these agreements. Now it's time to go step by step through, just doing everything that we've been talking about doing, right?
Right.
So that's the management phase. That's managing the project. So it's basically first managing the stakeholder onboarding and activation. So, do they need to be a part of a project management system? You're going to set up a Slack, like what's all the ways that this whole project is going to get managed. So you're doing that first, and then you're actually managing the project. You're executing the plan with all the stakeholders. And then lastly, you're managing the project expansion. So you're using results to invite and enroll additional vision holders and stakeholders, so that you're kind of you're creating a positive feedback cycle. So the more results you get, the more support you get, the more results you get, the more support you get. So it's a way of ensuring that this just keeps spiraling up, by making sure that you're expanding your project as well. That makes sense?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So basically right now, what I need to do in the recruitment phase is share my vision.
Well, we're not in the
I'm
recruitment.
not there yet.
Yeah, you're not in the recruitment phase yet. You want
Oh, okay.
We're still working out the plan. And so we're going to work on parts of it, now, and then you're going to, have meetings with different people and work on other parts of it. You're going to get the feedback from the analysts like we talked about, right? So
Okay, so I'm in that process right now.
yes, exactly.
Okay.
Still in the planning, and you'll be in the planning phase until you feel like you got a plan that you're ready to start bringing people on board with. So you're ready.
Okay.
Right
Yeah,
now,
that makes sense.
yeah, right now you're still trying to get the plan down to where, and again, some of the people that you want to bring on board are the people you want to share the plan with and say, here's the ideas I'm having, like which of these ideas do you like, which would you participate in, right? Like let's read through all of this now again, just to start with, because then what you and I are going to do is we're going to hone in on the parts that are really the parts that, can start being a cycle for you, right? You can start having people participate in, and there's an incentive, for their participation now that helps you build to the later parts. Make sense?
Okay, yeah. Mhm.
So, okay, so starting with the strategy, and by the way, what time do you have until, so I make sure that we, I wrap up by the time you need to wrap up?
I could do, let's see, I could do like 30 minutes.
30 more minutes? Okay, so by 4:30 at the latest?
If that works, yeah.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
Okay.
I might need to go get some more tea though. My throat is getting a little scratchy.
Yeah, please. Yeah. Feel free to take a moment to do that.
Let's do
I think I'm gonna do that too, actually.
Yeah, let's do a pause. We'll come back. So I'll be back in a couple minutes. See you in a couple.
Okay. Sounds
Let me pause.
okay.
Okay, great. So we're recording now. So let me share again.
Mhm.
Okay, so like I said, first we'll just read through it so we can remind ourselves of all the parts, and then we'll come back and kind of prioritize, where you think to put, energy and attention first, or what kind of strategies, all the kind of everything. So first of all, we said, what stakeholders do I need? And then we started with South Florida. So you started with partnership or strategic partnership that has land that wants to donate a parcel of land or work with that. And you have a nonprofit, you mentioned, if they want to donate, and a center that can serve as headquarters for the new earth. And the sacred temple space, you got into the combination of couples education center, conscious relationships, tantra space, temple of the crystal rose, temple of the protector, space for them coming together. Birthing center, mothers can have what supports them, space for the children, educational spaces, real life skills, garden, build, make, doing, family friendly. Anything else in the sacred temple that you want to add in there right now while we're here?
Yeah, we have the medicine creation space.
Medicine creation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, this is like a space where we dedicate, like an apothecary. We can call it an apothecary.
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anything else with the sacred temple?
Yeah, there is a space for studying the mysteries of death.
You want to just type it into there?
Yeah.
I didn't realize you were in on that. That's great. Awesome.
Yeah, entheogens and psychedelics as an entheogen, right? Entheogenic medicine. So getting more into, like, the apothecary is more like herbal medicines for daily self-care, and then the studies for entheogenic medicine is like we're dealing with higher level plants that are more for exploring higher levels of consciousness. And within that,
yeah, do you want to put that in there so that people?
Yeah, I'm putting that in there.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I feel like with this, with the studies of entheogenic medicine, as we are familiarizing ourselves more with the spirit world, this also helps people who are going through death to transition into that world with greater ease.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we want to hold the gates of birth and life, and also of death and transition into the other worlds, and everything that's in between, which is love and relationships and life on this planet Earth, and gardening, and everything that we need to stay happy, healthy, and whole.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds great. That's wonderful. Okay, great. So you said something about herbal and the difference. I want to have you put the difference between the medicine, the apothecary.
Oh yeah, so the herbal is for daily self-care.
So again, you want to just type in the way you want.
Yeah. I didn't know if you were.
I want this to, and I'm not sure if, however you want to communicate it, because in the end, this is going to be going out to your people that you're looking to resonate with this, be a part of it, support the vision, be stakeholders, whatever it looks like. That's the audience for this.
Natural remedies. Okay, yeah, there we go. And smart nutrition. That goes together.
Okay, great. And then the other one you said includes.
The studies of entheogenic medicine are more the studies of spirit, the studies of alternate dimensions, right? Death, transition, and harmonious journey.
Okay, great.
Right.
Okay, great.
Yeah, like the Egyptians, they always said that our life should be devoted to practicing how to die, right? So they had all these practices where they would practice how to die so that when that moment came, they were prepared and ready. And it wouldn't be something that was challenging or that their spirits wouldn't know where they're at or have any of these negative experiences, but they would just go in a way that would just be very welcoming and very harmonious.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we want to have those studies.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Okay, good. So that's the
Oh, and you know what? I want to add Feng Shui, right? Studies of Feng Shui. The whole space needs to be designed with Feng Shui. So
Yeah.
I think that's important to place
Yeah.
somewhere. These are design sciences, Feng Shui, permaculture. Maybe there's something like Vastu, which is like the Feng Shui of India, right? So design, harmonious, or we'll call it biophilic space design.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So again, the way that I'm seeing it, just to let you know, the way that I'm seeing it is that we're going to create like a, like a tree out of this, basically, almost like a mind map. And then, you're going to have different people and entities that are showing up in each of these almost like columns, right? You've got your Feng Shui people, you've got your Temple of the Protector people, you've got your conscious relationships people. You get what I'm saying? So you're starting again with this vision of where this is headed for those that are willing to invest early on in creating it. Like they're, providing some, whatever it is, you're creating some financial model or some model where they're investing in some way, right? And being able to create this collective creation of the community, right? That you've got some model that's going to, again, make it happen, whatever that looks like, whether it's investor or whatever, but you've got the process happening. You've got the buy-in, by all the components that you need all along the way. So it's not like you're having to pick up, a heavy weight down the road that you haven't even practiced for. You're just gradually adding more weight as you go all the way along. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think also what I want to add to this is places for living, right? Because we're going to have stewards of these spaces that need to be on site to be in that space and to be engaged in the everyday maintenance and upkeep of the space, organization, etc. Right? So
Nice.
living space. Yeah.
Okay, great. Where do you want to put that?
Yeah, I'm gonna put that, I think, living spaces. Yeah.
Okay, we'll just we'll move that out since that's not an educational spaces, right? That's back here.
Okay, yeah, there we go. Exactly. They're living spaces that are ecologically designed, which showcase water use, effective water usage. Yeah, minimizing waste. So that's how the whole space is operating.
Cool. And then being a role model for how to build in a tropical environment, tropical design, have a co-working space, So the different parts of that: media production, online courses, music, different arts, art studio, creator lifestyle, workshop space, making things like jewelry or wood shop, space to have these different activities. So anything else you want to add to that co-working space now?
Maybe I'm not sure if I added like having a shop. Not sure if we have that here. We have
No, I don't think so. I think you can add
a,
that.
a shop, and then one thing I don't think I have here, which I should have, is the movement template, or performance creative arts. Yeah, so I envision having a space within the Sacred Temple complex where it's dedicated to having like aerial silks, pole dancing, fire, props, flow arts, creative flow arts props for different artists to come in and to practice, and where we have nights where we do like prayer formances, right? Where through the prayer formance, we're telling a story about the way that we are creating this new paradigm.
Awesome. I love that. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Okay, cool. Thank you for adding all of that.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So anything else in the co-working space?
Okay, so it was a co-working space, and I wanted to add a shop. I'm not
Yeah,
sure
the
where
shop.
that would go.
So is that in the temple,
This would be more like, I think that's more like
the co-working space?
it's part of the community. It's the co-working space, because I feel like all the different creators there, they're going to be making different things. Some people might be making jewelry, some people might be making soap, some people might be making crystal wands or whatever, or even educational digital things. I mean, maybe that's different, but somewhere where our creators can have a commercial space for
Okay, cool.
distributing their goods. Yeah.
Cool. So you want to add that under the co-working space?
Yeah.
Put that?
Yeah, let's see. I'm trying to find it. I'm here. I see living
Oh.
spaces.
Yeah, scroll down.
Ecological. Okay.
Yeah, just a little
Art,
bit.
art
Yeah.
create workshop space. Okay, so yeah, we'll call this a creators gift shop. What do you think?
Yeah, I think
What would you call it?
instead of gift, just put shop.
Just a shop. Okay. Because I want to differentiate it from like the shop where you're working on the things to like the shop where you're
So maybe,
displaying.
how about store?
Store. Yeah, store. Exactly.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
Great. Okay, good. Anything else in the co-working space?
Well, one of the things that I want to do for the offices, and maybe you'll tell me like how I can add this. I noticed in today's world, offices are very cold. They're also very anti-functional for the ways that our bodies are shaped. So they usually have desks that are very detrimental to the way that our posture is supposed to be. So I would like to create a kind of like a retreat style working space where we can have like yoga ball chairs where people can sit on yoga balls instead of like straight chairs, where the tables can be up high so that they're eye level, and where we can have like yoga swings in between desks so that people can take stretch breaks every hour and reset their postures, and where we can have just like lots of plants, and where we can have fresh air circulating, and we can have like tea fairies that are just like helping all the people that are working to stay energized.
Okay, great. That sounds amazing. So,
Right?
yeah. So you call that a co-working environment, or what do you call
I
it?
call this a retreat co-working environment. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Want to put that in there?
Yeah. Let me put that under, should I put it under creator store?
Yeah, I think under,
This is one of the features, right?
yeah, this is one of the parts. Mhm.
Lifestyle shared co-working office.
Cool. Okay, great. So that covers all that we covered for South Florida last time. So anything else for South Florida before we jump into Costa Rica?
I think that feels pretty complete.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I think I covered everything, I hope.
You covered a lot. And
Okay.
this is the thing. I want to just kind of breeze through Costa Rica
Yeah.
because for today, I want to focus more on the South Florida part because it seems like
That
that's
makes sense.
the more immediate business generating part, right? And that you're going to have
Exactly.
some kind of
Yeah,
system.
and we have a team right now working on the Costa Rica side. And my partners, they actually just moved to Costa Rica yesterday.
Oh, wow.
So I know that we can plug them in later once they're more settled in, and I'm gonna have them be part of this and connect them with this network as well. So we'll be able to talk more about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That sounds great. Okay, cool. So
Uh-huh.
we'll talk more about that as soon as they
Yeah.
get plugged in and we're focusing on that together. That's great. So then
Yeah.
again, what I was seeing from what you shared, and you tell me, but
Mhm.
there's different aspects of the sacred temple space that like you could do an event around any one of these things at any time as an example, right? As just like a pop-up manifestation of part of this, right? And then almost similarly around the co-working space, it's also where you could create almost like a collective of people that are working together virtually or whatever. Just start gathering people that would be in a physical co-working space and start to create like a virtual co-working space, kind of sharing business with each other and that sort of thing. That's again where the Uniting for Action platform will facilitate that sort of thing, right? Not that these people are necessarily leadership council members, but they're plugged in as businesses and can refer business to each other, and that they can be available to users of the system, other leadership council members that need a video editor or that need a copywriter or that need a flyer creator or graphic designer or whatever it is, right? So essentially,
I like that.
Yeah, so essentially,
like a shared team resource hub where we have all of the different roles that we may need, a videographer, photographer, editor, all these different things, and we all share it in the collective.
exactly.
I like that. Mhm.
Exactly. It's the way that we're crowdsourcing those resources from everybody that's got a good person that they can refer into the system. It helps everyone else now have a resource to turn to. And in sharing all of those resources, they're getting plugged in and they're being a part of the ecosystem, and they're also again earning on connecting others, and they're being a part of this whole thing. And that's where over time, as soon as we can, we'll actually have reliability indexes on those different vendors and all of that, because when you hire somebody, then you'll score them and there'll be a score, kind of like Yelp, or Amazon. The ratings on Amazon is a good analogy, but basically you'll know who you can rely on based on their reliability index and all of that sort of thing. So that's where we're going over time, so that it's very systematized. It's not a crapshoot where results you're going to get. You can either pay for somebody that's got a 99% reliability index, but you may not be able to afford that kind of person. They're only working for Fortune 500 corporations or whatever, but you can afford somebody at a 90% reliability index. You get what I'm saying? So it's like it's like you get to look at the whole marketplace, and then there's a match between what you're willing to pay and what somebody's willing to offer. And then, it's kind of, again, it's all systematized. So it's just like, here's what I want, here's what I got, what's the best that I can get for that type of thing.
Okay, and so is that something that is being built into, I know you're working on the profiles for everybody? Is
Yeah.
that something that is like integrated with that system where all the members of the United for Action team, we all have like our profiles and then we're offering certain things?
Yeah, exactly. That's where we're going to build it all out. And just to be, really clear, the type of sophistication that you're describing now, we need to have programmers for, whether it's, students or corporations. So we need to get to where we've got the programmers programming all that solution. I'm going to provide a very basic level of the system so we can have the channels and we can be publishing the content and we can be finding the content. Once it gets into all of the referrals with all the finances and all of that, we need to, have programming at a higher level. That's where we have to have, some level of either crowdfunding or grants or, angel investors or whatever it looks like to be able to take the leaps. And that's where essentially, as we're describing this different functionality, that's where, we're making it distinct enough for one student to say, I'm going to program that, or one person to say, I'm going to pay to have that part of the system functioning. You get what I'm saying?
So when you're saying like when you're talking about like having a system programmed, are you talking about like programmed like on a website, or what are you saying?
Yeah, exactly. Programmed on a website or an app, but yeah, to be able to have all of this automated the way that we're describing, where, again, as you're building, let's go back to the virtual co-working, place where we start with that, you have these different people, that are holding a certain vibration. So those are the people that you would invite to come be a part of a physical co-working space, right? There's a certain profile of people energetically that you want in that space, right? And that's going to create the most harmony and synergy and, co-creative, things happening and referrals happening and all the magic that happens when people connect, right? In that way. And so, what you're potentially going to do until you have that physical space is start to do that in a virtual way, right? By starting to find the exact same people that you would be inviting to the physical space and start to invite them to some, something, whether you're going to make it, like a monthly
gathering, right?
Well, either a gathering or either going to create
an online gathering.
Something like that, right? So either you're going to create, maybe it's going to be a big gathering, maybe it's just going to be like a Facebook group, maybe it's going to be like an event that you're going to create, maybe it's a networker that you're going to do. You get to decide, what it's going to look like, how it's going to be. And that's where also, as you're sharing it and sharing the vision, then you might find where somebody's already been doing it that you can just partner with, or somebody wants to do that part of it and they can. So again, you share the vision and then you get to decide which parts of it you're going to wrap your arms around, right? But this is where, for the different, people that are, showing up in the environment, you get to decide what would it actually look like to create this in the physical world, and what would it look like to, be preparing to create it in the physical world with the stakeholders that I want to be where. How can you get what I'm saying? Like, how can you go from where you are now to the manifestation with a step-by-step, just evolutionary process? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So how you're going, whatever that. And then maybe it's not going to be, a virtual thing. Maybe it's going to be a physical event. Maybe it's going to be, just that you're, I don't know. But that's where, again, we're just coming up with certain ideas right now and throwing them against the wall and seeing what all the choices are. Over time, this will be done over and over by lots of people. So it'll just be best practices, and it'll just be, hey, if you want to do this, and here's the best way to do it. And you just step by step by step by step. You as a pioneer are laying you're creating the trail, right? There's no trail into this yet. So you're creating the trail. But as we keep doing this over and over and more people do it, then all of these trails will get blazed for us, so that it'll be so easy for us to do anything we want in the future, because we'll just have a step-by-step guide of how to do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I feel almost like this could be a collaborative event or something with Uniting for Action.
What's that?
Right. With you, with Uniting for Action.
Yeah, if you wanted to do an event and us, yeah, I could definitely see some synergistic ways to create an event. And that's where also, yeah, I mean, there's all kind. I know your mind goes there because you're an event person, like I used to be. I have to keep trying not to.
I mean, I've slowed down from that because it's a lot, and right now I'm just very focused on these things. So, but you like you said, you know, sometimes maybe it just starts out with me inviting my alliances, and that's our first gathering, right? With you and with my alliances, virtual gathering.
Exactly. That's a perfect example. And then you can keep seeing, okay, who are the next group of people that I'm going to connect to create some kind of value for them and for me and for all of us, right? And so that's a perfect like use of the system. And then again, supporting them, just like I'm doing this sorts of questions with you. As you get better at it, you'll do it, you know, with friends and others to help them get on board, and, you know, kind of a pass it along, and then they'll help others. And, you know, over time, it'll just be helping people get plugged in so that they can benefit from all the benefits of being plugged in, right? Like the whole world will open up to everybody once they start plugging in. So it's just a matter of like, you know, what do I share as an inspiring, invitation for them to, you know, be ready to show up and be as excited as I am about this, right?
Yeah. This is very exciting, and you know, sometimes it could be a little daunting because it's like, oh my God, like this is like, how long is this going to take? Like 30 years? It's like a 30-year plan, right? But at the same time, like with this type of planning and with this type of strategizing, I think we can fast forward it.
Yeah, for sure. And that's where I'm glad that you're saying what you're saying, because your plan as you've laid it out is a lot. So it is like, does Angie really want to be, you know, doing all of this? And that's where
I don't want to be doing all of that.
Yeah.
So I know it's more of like a recruitment type of thing.
Well, it's finding at the moment, I think it's finding certain parts that can come into manifestation sooner than others, and allowing those to start manifesting, and then, you know, allow it to build into something that it can build into. I think it's really awesome to have shared this full vision, because then again, now other people that, you know, want parts of it could take on parts of it, right? And somebody could show up and do this part, and somebody could show up and do this part, and somebody could show up and do this part. So the whole thing can get manifested without you being the champion. And that's the thing to, again, distinguish, just so you understand. So we've been mapping out a whole plan. And at the moment, you're not willing to be a champion for the whole plan. You're looking at parts that you're willing to be the champion for. And then you're opening the plan to other champions to show up to be a champion for this part, or a champion for this part, or a champion for the whole plan. Right? Do you get what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah. Like, for example, I would want to start out with something simple that I can handle, which is like the tantric temple, where I can have sessions, where I can be teaching workshops, right? That's something very simple and manageable. That's already what I'm doing. Where I could also be teaching about gardening and plants and how to use that as part of your tantric embrace with Mother Gaia, right? So that's something that's like very simple that I would like to focus with, just for what I can manage. And then all of these other pieces, the technology and the virtual and all of this videos and editing and, you know, the creative art studios and all of that, then I want to recruit other people who already maybe have those tools or who have that connection. And of course, we want to have a space eventually for all of these things to be, right? But I think like it's important to start simple.
Yeah, you're, in my mind, you're hitting the nail on the head, is that you are laying out a vision that others can get on board with and can start to find each other around this vision. Yes, I want this part, I want this part. So you can start to attract in all of the resonant beings to the vision that you're sharing. And in doing that, you are moving the vision forward, right? And even though you're personally not going to do this part or do this part, now you're giving the opportunity for those people to show up to do those parts, right? By describing it very clearly and letting somebody say, yes, I want to plug in, or I know somebody that's doing this part, let me connect you with them, right? And then you get connected and then they're doing that part. And that's, exactly what's happening. So it's perfect, the way that you're narrowing down. That's the purpose of the planning phase, is to go from, okay, here's the vision, now let's narrow down to what it is that you're ready to champion right now. And the way that you just described it, where it's just kind of a natural evolution of what you're already doing, is the perfect thing. So you're tying in where you're at, you're using where you're at as a foundation, and it's allowing you to start to grow into the vision organically from where you are right now.
Yeah, and oh my God, I just had this thought. So my friend who has some land in Ocala, he just sent me a message last night. He's like, "Oh, when are you coming?" And I'm like, "Oh, I got to think about it. Maybe like around March, around my birthday." And you just said, "Oh, what if we have what if you have an event?" And we're talking about it. I'm like, "Oh my God!" And he said, "Let's do an event." And I was just thinking about that, because at the moment when he said, let's do an event, I was like, I'm not sure if I want to do an event because it's so much, right? But I feel like if it's something like this, or like as part of this purpose that we're already working on, and it's like a team thing, then that could be interesting. That could be interesting. So
that's true.
Putting that in the vortex.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So are you imagining like inviting a bunch of stakeholders that are around you or co-creators, and then having them all at this place? Is that what you're envisioning? What are you envisioning there?
Yeah, well, I know my friend, he's been wanting to do things in his land I have to catch up with him and maybe find out, invite him in, right? As a vision holder, or an analyst, where I can share with him what we've been talking about, because I know he's been wanting to do things on his land. And we were speaking about in the past having a collaboration. He's very familiar with, he's like, when are you going to come see your markings? Because I have like a Eco Rainbow Goddesses logo that was painted there.
Oh, wow.
When
Awesome.
of my friends were there for COVID, and I was in Costa Rica, and I told Benja, go to Keith's place so you could get out of the craziness. And then he brought in a bunch of friends, and there was a couple things because everybody was living in the community, camping out, right in the middle of like when everything first everything just fell apart and there was lockdown and nobody knew what was going to happen. So they were all like camping out and had like kitchen, and it was working out nicely the first whatever week or two. And then after that, people started getting a little, worried and started like having to leave because resources start running out, right? Whatever it is, money starts becoming a thing, right? There's no organization of all these infrastructures. It's just like, oh yeah, happy-go-lucky hippie camping, but that could only last for so long before you start running into some issues, right? And the landowner starts kicking into like survival mode and starts thinking about money, and so it's interesting because that happened. But he's always like reaching back out to me and saying like, when are you gonna come? When are you gonna like, let's do something? So there's still that like invitation. And I think that what was happening that didn't work out during that COVID time is that there was just no structure in place for this to happen. But maybe if there is like a collaboration of minds coming together of like all the different assets and resources and knowledge and all the people that we can invite to this space, and with this type of organization, I think it could have the outcome that we all really want, right? Which is this. So
I could totally see that as you're saying that. It's amazing. Amazing that your mind is going that way. So now my mind is thinking, okay, so when in March is your birthday? So when are you imagining this? When are you imagining this? So I
you
can.
know, my birthday is around March 16th. It could be, maybe it could even, maybe that's a little bit soon. But it could potentially be even around for Earth Day, right? That would be nice, and it would give us time in April. I just threw out something to say to him in that moment. It was like, well, maybe by March I could come, but I feel like I don't want to just go there just to see the place. Like, I could do that, right? Whatever, I could do that, but I feel like it's more important to have like this structure and like a team, like, because all we're going to talk about if I go there is like, let's do this and let's do that, and then it just stays there, right? But then if there's no team, if there's no like real structure, it just stays in the ideas, in the dream stage.
Yeah,
So,
now that you're saying it, I'm imagining that we could do like a whole kind of structured thing to have, like, workshop type of experience to create the connections and create, like, to have a whole bunch of people showing up that, well, we would want to get them connected in first, but I imagine that there could be exercises that could be done that could help facilitate, connections being made and resources being found and that sort of thing right in the moment. But I think what you're describing is amazing. And so I want to start sharing your vision with you so we can both be visioning it into the ethers. Like, how many people are you imagining there? So I have an idea in my head.
I would think we want to start out with something that's like powerful and that's intimate, and that also, is sustainable for the land. I mean, I have to call him and catch up and find out what his current accommodations are, right? So I would have to figure that out. But I'm thinking of like 15 really just like powerful people that are really highly skilled. I'm not interested in the volume. I'm not interested in having 50 people there, or
Right.
that are like just going for fun. It's not like a festival. I mean, it could be fun, but we're going for a purpose, right?
I totally get what you're saying. Yeah, to the people that are ready to create results, right?
Yeah, it's almost like we have like this like round table initiation, and we have some people in our mind that we feel like need to be in this round table initiation, right? And we invite them into it.
Wow, I really like the idea of that. That's awesome. Thank you for thinking that way. That's super cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. The round table,
Yeah.
the Knights of the Round Table.
Yeah, the Knights for the golden age.
That's awesome. That's so great. Cool. All right, Angie, you got me thinking now off in these other directions. That's really exciting. Thank you for even, imagining those sorts of things. Those are exciting things to think about. And I get that, Kelly and her partner are,
Possibility.
they're out of the picture for the moment because they just moved. What about
Well, they moved to Costa Rica yesterday.
Right.
Not that they're out of the picture. I'm just imagine that they're like, moving into their new space, doing whatever they need to do to feel comfortable. But they're always very much on the ball. So I'm sure that we can schedule a call with them next week or something.
Yeah, I was just thinking as you were saying that if they did want to come on board before the next Leadership Council meeting, which will be a week from Monday. So
tell me when. What's the date?
It's February 7th. The first.
February 7th.
Yeah, the first Monday in February.
Okay.
From 8 to 9:30 p.m. And then the next one will be February 21st after that.
Okay.
So
and you said at what time?
8 to 9:30 p.m. Eastern.
8 to 9:30. Okay.
Yeah.
I can invite them and see where they're at with that. So let's see.
Well, you wouldn't invite them to the Leadership Council meeting. You would invite.
Before.
Yeah, to have a meeting. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you want to do that, if you want to invite them for sometime next week, that's awesome. And then that gives them the opportunity to be there on Monday if they want to be, if they're ready to join that quickly and be a part of it. That's awesome. That I always forget the name of, what is the metaverse that your project?
Yeah, so that's Tsunami Diamond. He is gonna be busy next week in Vegas. We have a partner in Vegas
Nice.
that also has a lot of land. He wants to make this land called the Atlantis Project, and in the middle of the desert, and make it like a permanent Burning Man, but with like real structures, and having like a whole permaculture in the desert design.
Wow.
So they're working on that, and he's also like doing some conferences and some things like that. But I do have the potential. I'm probably going to meet him sometime in the middle of February in a crypto conference, and he applied to speak because we're launching the Ascended token and presenting the metaverse, the Ascendia XR. So I know he's very busy this week because he did say that he was going to the Atlantis Project, but I could check in with him and find out when he has some free time, when he comes back from the conference from Vegas, I believe next week, and then find out when he can meet us.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds awesome, because I'm excited on all these ones. Are there other people that are in your mind that you feel like need to be near the top of the priority list for us connecting?
Yeah, so the other people that are on the top of my mind are my friends that I met with yesterday, whom I reconnected with after a very long time, Sir Dave Rainey, who's buying this land in the Cedar Island here in North Carolina, and he wants to create like conscious creation events that are fundraisers for the land, for the organizations involved. Of course, my partner Rico, who's here right now, we work with him, right? So we were even thinking about what type of event we could do there, right? But of course, these things are always easier to do when there is like a collaboration. So I'm thinking about Dave, Rainey, and Alina also, who has the black or the Mockingbird real estate. So she's helping Dave with all of these land transactions in the Cedar Island.
Cool.
And what they want to do is they want to do like what we're doing, but on their land. But they also need like the investors, and they need investors who want to buy more land, because they literally want to buy out that whole space so that it doesn't get developed. So like that land would be perfect for everything that we want to do. Like all that space is available for every single thing in this list, right? It's just now about the investments. Really, that's all it is. Having the proper plan, having all the budgets, having all the things that we need so that we could present this to the investors and for them to see the value of that.
Yeah, that's perfect. So that's where, in my mind, we're doing, I know you've done a lot with your whole pitch deck and everything like that. This, process, obviously we're still at very early stages, but as this system gets evolved, it's almost like, a pitch deck creation system, right? Where you're plugging in all of their different people and they're adding all of their parts to the pitch deck, and you're being able to formulate a plan out of all of these different, co-collaborators of the plan, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's great. And it's great that you're going to be helping kind of help evolve the system in that way. I was going to say before, when we were talking about the programming, it's really going to be programming on demand, right? Who do we have that's showing up that has these needs, and how significant are their needs in order to be able to like create a, financial feedback cycle, where if we're paying for programming that we're getting, they're paying or in some way creating value. You're talking about lots of different ways to flow value to Uniting for Action now through these different people and the different connections that could come out of that and that sort of thing. So it's really helpful because we need to have these cycles, right? That the more time I spend with you, the more value it turns into Uniting for Action, and we can keep doing it more and more and more because there continues to be a flow, right? When I'm working with other people, if there's not a flow where there's more value coming back as we're doing it, then my time becomes less and less and less available because I have to be putting my time and attention where that's the return of energy and energy flow. And that's for all of us.
We need a toroidal field that is just like regenerating all of our energies.
That's the thing. And that's why I keep talking about these positive feedback cycles. Yeah. The toroidal flow, like you're saying, that was in Thrive, you know, that I think is a great concept. I describe it, you know, as a positive feedback cycle where as we're creating results that it comes back, you know, as I'm creating value for you, you're creating value for me. It gives me more time and energy to be able to create value for you, which creates more value for, so, you know, it's that positive feedback cycle. And that's what we're looking to set up with everyone about everything, right? As much as we can, because that way, then, you know, whoever we're working with is willing to put in more and more and more because they're going to get more and more and more as they put in more and more and more, right? So that's like the ideal cycle, like you're saying, the toroidal flow, that where as you put in more, you get more out. And that's really, you know, what we're always trying to, you know, do as much as we can within the whole system, build the system so it's kind of set up that way from the beginning. Does that make sense?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And then the other person that I'm thinking about for introducing to you into this system, which I think is going to be really good, is my friend George. He has also a project that.
Are you able to?
Let me see.
Yeah.
I was looking for his website. I can't find it right now.
Got it.
But I'll circle back to that. He has a coaching company. It's like a business coaching company. It's called like Superheroes Academy, something like that. I'll have to look for it. But his specialty is delegation, and creating like structures and plans. So to help creators like master the art of delegation so that they can do all their different things. And he's also starting a program kind of like this, like what you're doing, where we're going to be coming together in these chats, and he's creating like a system, an organizational system where we can all collaborate and help each other out. So it seems like it's like a perfect fit.
It does. Yeah. As you're saying that, I'm like, when can I talk to this guy? Because that sounds like perfect. It sounds like we definitely want to synergize our energies together. So that's great.
Yeah. And I have a conversation going on with him to find out when is this talk that he's inviting a select amount of people that he believes in, kind of like what we're talking about, to like recruit to come into this call. So let's what would be the best thing? Should I like just have a conversation with them, let them know about you, or maybe create like some group WhatsApp chats where I could introduce you guys? What do you think?
Yeah, I think the best thing is to, you know, if it's appropriate, just have a quick phone call to mention, you know, who I am and what this is and how excited you are. And then to say, you know, do you mind if I connect you guys on, you know, in a text message or WhatsApp message?
Yeah.
Or, you know, if you think it needs that, or if you think that it's simple enough to just, you know, connect us in a WhatsApp chat and say, hey, Jared, I want you to meet George. I want you guys to connect, you know, whatever. So I think the simple way is just to do it in a chat, you know, the three of us.
I could just let him know, hey, I really want you to meet my friend Jared. We're working on this United for Action. I think it fits in really well with what we're doing.
Perfect.
And I introduce you to him, and I'm sure he's going to be like stoked about it. So.
Yeah, I think that's the easiest thing. Let's keep it easy. Like if it requires a phone call, then you'll do it, but you don't want to hang it up on a phone call if you don't need to, right? If you can just
exactly. Yeah, and we have a call pending, so I just got to figure out when that's going to be.
But that sounds great. I appreciate you thinking of connecting me with him. That sounds great. I definitely am looking forward to connecting with him. It's great. Thank you for all the people you're thinking of, all the ways that you're circulating the energy. And that's where, again, I know you're going to be like a one of the leaders of this to show people how it works and what it looks like when you're orchestrating all of these connections like you do, right? You're going to really be teaching a lot of people that don't really, haven't done this and don't understand it. They're just going to be seeing, these videos and seeing what you're doing. And maybe at some point, you'll make a video talking about some aspect or whatever. But yeah, I think you're going to be a real helpful model for people to understand, how to create this new way of being.
Oh my God. And my friend Glow, I have to connect you to my friend Glow, because she is just so passionate about media. She wanted to have a good news channel. And she can be on Zoom chats all day, as long as they're like masterminds on how to save the earth. Like, that's what she does. And she's brilliant. And she's like, if you think I'm a good networker, she's like freaking the Incredible Hulk of networking. I have to connect you to Glow.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Add that to my list. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like it. Yeah, thank you for connecting me with her and with everybody. Yeah, just send a message whenever you're ready, because I'm definitely ready to connect with those people. That's the game right now. It's for us to start taking it to the next level by starting to bring in these other, people that we're connected with, so that they know how to play this game and they're playing this game with us together, and then they're pulling in all the different things, and we're going to get everything we need by everybody else showing up and doing all of it.
Yeah, this needs to be part of the game that Tsunami is creating and automating with the IT team, which is basically the Ascended Game of Life. And the Ascended Game of Life is all about that. It's all about growing our connections, growing our collective resources. But this is all going to be embedded in the code for the actual virtual game. So this might end up being part of that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That would be awesome. And I definitely see lots of synergy. So for sure, we need to have those conversations and figure it out. But it's awesome how you're being the pioneer trailblazer in this way. Awesome, Angie. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so appreciative of your work. I know how much you've been working on this, and I can feel your passion. It's like the fuel behind it. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Angie. I appreciate you so much. I'm super excited for all of this. Yeah. Thank you for this. We'll continue. Be continued.
To be continued. Co-creation station.
Yes. Awesome. Great. All right. I love you. See you later.
Love.
Bye.
Bye.